please tag along. Please reach out to the AITV page and send them a message, and they'll let us know, and we can plan on a topic. We can talk about a topic, and yeah, we can keep in touch, and you can be here. So anyways, first today I'm going to start with our guest, and then I'll have my sisters say hi. So yeah, so can our guest please say hi to the people?
Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Kasaija. I'm a women deliver young leader, and we advocate for gender equality for girls and women, ensuring their well-being across the globe. And I'm from Uganda, and I'm very glad to be here today, and also to share my public health expertise, especially on the topic of family planning, contraception, and young people. Thank you very much.
Okay. So my sisters, can you introduce yourselves? Say hi to the people.
Hey, this is Lana. Y'all know me. I hope quarantine is doing you well. I hope you're getting enough sleep. I know most of us have finals, so I hope all y'all are passing your finals. Yeah, and I can't wait. 2 more weeks and the thing is open. But don't go outside, it's a trick.
Hi. As you guys already know, it's me, Sanyu. Happy to be here. Great day today. I hope you guys like the topic that we're going to continue to talk about. And yeah, hope you tune in.
Hi guys, it's Priscilla here, and it's good to be back. And I hope you guys, those of you who have finals, I hope you guys are doing good. And everyone stay safe, and it's good to be back.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna jump right into it since time has gone. But yeah, I'm gonna start with a simple question. Can you please, Joseph, can you please tell us all about yourself and what you do, and what, I know you've said it a little bit, but can you go kind of in depth here so that we know who you are?
Yeah, thank you very much, Beverly. Again, Joseph Kasaija is my name, and I'm a public health specialist by profession, and I'm from Uganda. I've been working with young people, what we call sexual reproductive health and rights, youth programming, and project implementation in Uganda. And we have worked from grassroots to national level and to global level. I also represent Women Deliver, young leaders in Uganda as an alumni of 2018, where we are advancing and advocating for gender equality through ensuring well-being and good health of girls and women. And I also have passion and serving communities with resource which have resource restrictions, and also work in humanitarian settings. I'm also a menstrual hygiene and management trainer, and I work a lot with young people together as well as Minister of Health, Uganda, on working on advancing and lobbying for health policies. And currently, as of today, I'm also working with a team from Women Deliver to work together with Minister of Health so that we can launch and pass the National Adolescent Health Policy, which has been around since 2012, which has been going forward and backward. And specifically this policy, what we're trying to do, we're trying to work with Parliament and Minister of Health so we can lobby buy-ins from other people, and especially bringing on board the Interreligious Council, which has been one of the biggest objection to this policy, as well as to bring everyone on board so that this policy can go forward. The reason why we want this policy to be forward, to be implemented, is that it's helping our fellow adolescents and guiding health workers and community and CSOs on how best they can serve family planning or contraceptives or comprehensive sexuality education to girls in order to fight and reduce teenage pregnancy, and as well as unsafe abortions and unintended pregnancies. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was that was a lot. I needed a pen and paper to write that down. But but that was great. That's really good. I really like people that work in such stuff, because I feel like there's so many people that don't want to get into, especially when it comes to being on like the women's side and helping to advocate for their rights, and talking about the things that hurt them. It's like they're pretty much like there are minorities in the community, and people don't want to bring such issues forward. And I'm so happy that you've taken part in going into such a field and learning more about it and trying to bring awareness to people. And the fact that you're a man gives it even more of like a +1. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So you said that you basically doing like public health, right?
Yeah.
What's public health comprised of?
Public health, as I've always been sharing with colleagues and students and upcoming, practitioners, public health is a broad field. For example, in simple terms, when you fall sick, normally you always go to a doctor or a physician. Okay. And that is curative. Well, that's what we call curative. Like you go for treatment to be cured. However, public health, we deal with the community. We do what we call preventive medicine, prevention. So we work with communities in order to find solutions, challenges, things that are causing diseases. We do disease surveillance. We do research to come up with the different policies and different preventive measures. And also we health educate communities so that we can come up with, we can be on the same page. For example, if we're now facing COVID right now, COVID-19, it's a work of the public health practitioners to go to community and health educate, because the doctors don't get time to go to the communities. But public health specialists can go to the communities and do what we call health education. And also they can do research, we have heard of CDC, Center of Disease Prevention and Control. So we also have people like epidemiologists from the public health field who specialize in that. We have what we call health economists, those who work on the health, on the economies of health, especially like the drugs, the hospitals, the expenditures, how you spend everything, and how this affects human health or population health. And also, we do a lot of work in connecting communities globally. So whatever jurisdiction WHO has been brought about, the 7 days, the 14 days, the quarantine, all that is still public health. That's one of the structures that we are using to control the spread of diseases, what we call emerging and re-emerging infections, or what we call pandemics. So public health is a broad field, and always people find a way of specializing in whatever field you are comfortable in. But in brief, public health is more of a preventive medicine. We solve problems from the community side before they reach the doctor. So we're supposed to solve everything before you reach the doctor. So by the time you reach the doctor, that means there's a lot of structures which are failing in the communities in the public health system. We also work on policies or laws which concern health, so that they can promote good health among people, and also governments and institutions be able to provide and encourage people to live positively. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so basically public health is it's more like a broad thing. So today we want to really just continue with like I don't know how you call it. I don't know if you call it like sexual kind of health.
Sexual reproductive health and rights.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so we want to continue with that topic, and I just wanted to ask, is it something that have you worked in that field?
Yeah, for the last 5 years, I've been working in sexual reproductive health and rights, and it's one of the fields that I've specialized in, especially working with young people. I've also created demand utilization of sexual reproductive health services, and here we talk about HIV prevention and ART or the therapy. I've also been working on what we call family planning, contraceptions. I've also been working on drug abuse and mental health issues among young people in the different districts in Uganda. And yeah, it's one thing that I've really loved from the early part of my career by the time I finished campus, and the kind of, interacting with the young people, getting to know the challenges they're facing and being able to work together to make sure that these issues are solved.
Okay. So when we come to that, what's one of the main issues when it comes to the sexual health and reproductive blah 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 thing? What's one of the issues that come forward that you have with like young adults? Is it STDs? Is it early pregnancies? Is it yeah?
So there is a lot of challenges what young people are facing as a challenge, even before the COVID came about. One thing is what we call misinformation. There is a lot of wrong information, both online, through myths and misconceptions, that are barring young people from accessing services. So the biggest one is a misinformation. People think no, but most of them they don't know. There are taboos. When you grow up as a girl or as a boy, you can't talk about sex with your parents. Okay.
Definitely.
There's what we call comprehensive sexuality education, certain things that you need to know. I've been working on menstrual hygiene. I've been training girls on how to use pads, using reusable and usable pads, using menstrual cups and all that. But you find most of them are facing challenges because they never get a chance to learn about this. And so this has led into teenage pregnancy. I think you have all realized, like in Uganda, the teenage pregnancy rate is at 25%, meaning every 1 out of 4 girls you see gets an intended pregnancy, the teenage pregnancy, which also leads into maternal mortality. Most of them die because they don't give birth from health facilities. And others, they face challenges. They get fistula. I don't know if all of us would know fistula because of the challenges which come with giving birth and not in hospital. So one of the biggest challenges young people is the misinformation and also not having access to these SRHR services.
How do you feel about this whole thing of birth control with young adults? What age do you think girls should start coming up and asking to have birth control?
Yeah, so it also depends on, I believe, if a girl is sexually active, because normally what we call puberty amongst girls, or the first menarche, the first day of menstruation, the day a girl menstruates the first time, that means they're sexually active. If they have sex, they can get pregnant. So we always advise the young girls to abstain until they reach the legal age of 18, but some of them are sexually active. I believe if a young person is sexually active and believes is at risk of getting HIV or pregnancy, and they're not ready to have the pregnancy, they should use the family planning. However, family planning, there are a lot of different types of family planning methods which a young person can choose from, and condoms is one of them. Okay, so the young people, if they know they are very sexually active, why not use a condom? We have the male and female condoms. So I believe when someone is sexually active and they're at the risk of getting pregnant, they can begin using family planning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Guys, do you have any questions before we go on? I know we've kind of overshadowed everything.
Yeah,
Huh?
you've basically taken some of the questions I wanted to ask to him, so that's pretty good. He's answered some of them.
Lorna, do you have any questions?
Yeah. You said something about reusing pads. First of all, that's nasty. But do you think that in the old times, right? They used to use like the reusing pads, like they didn't have those pads that we have right now. So do you mean they use clothes, as you mean like reusing pads? Because you like that kind of confused when you say reusing pads.
Oh, okay. So we have what we call the disposable pads. Most of you that you know that you buy once and use and throw away. And then we have what we call reusable pads. They're made out of clothes. Okay. There are different types of reusable pads. However, using a reusable pad, you have to maintain a good hygiene. You need to wash, you need to have access to water and soap. And also you should be able to, if possible, hang it out and cover it maybe with a hanky or something for the UV light from the sunlight to kill any germs. So if you are using any reusable pad, you have to maintain good hygiene. However, there are also other types of products that you can reuse over and over again. We have what we call the menstrual cups. We have what we call the Be-Free cup, and that one is mainly there's a project that's been implemented in Uganda, especially in the refugee camps, where young girls have been able to access the Be-Free menstrual cup, which is you can use it up to 10 years. So it's a menstrual cup that a girl can use. It's bacteria free. They can use it over and over again because we are looking for sustainable solutions, which are also safe for people to use, especially in resource restricted areas.
That's still nasty, man.
It's like sneezing in a hanky and you wash it.
And using it
not wash it. Yeah.
Okay, so
isn't there like a higher risk of infection?
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine like reusing something for 10 years. Isn't there like a higher risk of infection like when you wash it or like?
So this specific Be-Free cup I'm talking about, it was designed in a way whereby it is bacteria free. So even if you're in a place and there's no water, if you get a clean cloth, you can just wipe it clean. It is bacteria free. That's the kind of design they made it with. Others are not. But also, if at all, the reusable pads, what we're talking about is mainly for people in humanitarian settings, people in rural areas who may not have the money like you do to buy pads every month. Sometimes girls don't having access to money to buy pads has led them to get men to get them money so they can be able to support themselves, which has also led into teenage pregnancies and unsafe abortions. So we are trying to give alternatives, though they may not, the reusable pads are not good if you're not going to maintain good hygiene, water, don't have access to water and so. Then we encourage you to use the disposables. If you cannot have the disposable pads, then you have to think of getting a menstrual cup. Yeah.
Okay. Going back to the questions, what age do you think kids need to start having like sexual education talk?
Yeah, so that's one of the very interesting topics that has been, for example, in Uganda, we have what we call the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Framework, which was also launched by the First Lady of Uganda, Janet Museveni. It went through, and the Regis Council provoked it and had to bring it back. So we realize these days young people are having sex at a very early age. I've seen young people, I've interacted with young people who have begun having sex as early as 8. We have had young girls get pregnant as early as 8 years. So I believe that if at all sexuality education is started, especially in primary, upper primary, it will be more effective. And these are something which has been around. When you're in primary, remember, you used to study about the reproductive system or bad touches, abstinence. You remember those things you study about? That is still preparing you about, the sexuality part of it. And the reason why they will tell you you don't need sugar daddies and all that, that's still part of the sexuality education. However, most times because of taboos and cultures, we fear to talk about this when you're young. But remember, these young people have access to internet. They're seeing a lot of information. They're seeing a lot of porn. They're doing all that. And most times, if you don't guide them, they end up messing up. So I believe as well as early upper primary, young people need to begin learning about sexuality education.
So let's talk about schools, like you said. Do you think the senior ladies and senior women are so effective to help with such stuff?
Yeah, so from my experience and my interactions, recently I was working with Wakiso School of the Deaf because young people with disabilities, most times are left out on these issues. So when I interacted with senior women in this school, and of course for the secondary school, of course, which were deaf students, I realized there was a gap of these senior women, most of them not knowing the right information in terms of sexuality education. And also, you have heard of wrangles whereby some families and parents came out saying certain schools, the matrons were teaching girls how to pull and all those cultural practices. But some senior women who would have been very central in passing on the right information still lack this sexuality education information. That's why we need to come up with a framework which can guide them. What type of topics should you talk about in school? At what age? Okay. So each age category needs a different type of information. So we have to target each age category. What type of sexuality education information you have to pass on? So I believe the senior women are very vital, but they still lack information as well. Like the same way, like our parents still lack a lot of correct information.
Okay. What's the difference between you and Asenga?
What's the difference between me
and like the singers?
As me personally, as a male?
No,
or
like what you do, like what you guys do.
Okay, so
and are they people that we can really trust? Because like you said, the matrons have been make the girls do like traditional practices. Are they really useful? First, ask Lana.
So what is the whole point of pulling?
Okay, so it is a cultural practice. It's a cultural practice, mainly from the central region, to my understanding. And they believe when they pull the labia of the vagina, or the outside part of the vagina, it makes the women increase pleasure for themselves as well as the men. And also, they believe it also increases the chances of what we call the word is getting out. Okay, it's about pleasure, but as well as what we call young people what we always call calming, orgasms. So it increases the chance of getting orgasm, and it's a practice that has been around since like way back then, and it has been mainly, especially in Baganda and a few of Central East Basoga, and so some students have also reported that these things have been happening in schools. Matrons have been encouraging the students to pull themselves and all that. Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying as a guy, why do you guys like convince women to pull? You feel me? Like, what is the pleasure to you guys?
So me personally, I would not dictate over a woman because it's your body. There's something we call body autonomy. The body belongs to you. You should be able to decide what to do with it. And I think it's wrong if at all. Sometimes culture forces people to do certain things, but if they're able to do them at their own will, then that's okay. But I would encourage women, girls out there to think about it, to have your own, take about it. It's the same thing like female genital mutilation. The same way it has been practiced all over the world. Even in Europe, it still happens, and also in North and Eastern Uganda, it has been happening, whereby it's society deciding for girls on how to enjoy pleasure for sex. Yet I believe a girl or a woman should be able to have body autonomy to decide what to use her body for, what type of service to do, and how she thinks and feels like to express herself.
Sure. And to add on to that, you mentioned that women sometimes are asked to pull because it increases their chances of coming, or like it increases, I don't know, like the man getting pleasured or whatever. I feel like that is controversial because I don't think a woman like coming has anything to do with their labia. I honestly do not think so. Like the G spot, I don't think it has anything to do with their labia. And the other thing is, I read this somewhere, I don't remember where, but like pulling, especially when you make them like long, or the older you grow, the saggier or longer they get, then your chances of having an infection are higher. Because then when you're washing your vagina, chances are you're not paying close attention to those parts that you just pull, the long dingling parts. So you're not going to take care of them as well as you should. And I read that usually women who pull, the longer or the longer they get, like you can get, your chances of having an infection are quite high because you're not cleaning those parts as well as a woman who did not pull wood. You know what I mean? Because you have to pay special attention to them.
Yeah. But okay, so pulling is more of a cultural perspective. And of course, you have seen singers even advertise and all that. But remember, orgasm most times comes from stimulation. It depends on how people have different types of stimulation.
Yeah.
Some people have vaginal stimulation, others have clitoral stimulation. So it differs. Okay. So yeah, that's what.
So basically,
happens.
pulling is pleasuring the man, not the woman.
Yeah.
Because when those things are dingling, they're pleasuring the man, not the woman.
That's why
the clit has nothing to do with the.
Literally,
so,
it's just all
yeah,
about
the clit has nothing to do with the ding.
It's literally all about the guy's parts. It's nothing about the
Yeah,
woman.
it has nothing to do with the woman.
So in some cases, I've come across one of clients that I was educating, and of course it happens once in a million. One of them, like, she had pulled, and the pulling increased her sensation, and most times when she would overmove, like putting on tight jeans or something, she would end up orgasming. Yeah, so sometimes, as I told you, people get pleasure differently, they get stimulation differently. However, back to my point is that I would encourage women, girls, whoever it is, to have that body autonomy to decide. Let a man not force you to do something that you feel you're not happy with, okay? And you have a right. That's one of the sexual SRHR rights we're talking about that most people don't know about. And however much culture plays a big role, we have the myths and misconceptions. You should be able to know what is good for you and what's right for you. Because when you pull, that's going to be that way the rest of your life. Your body is going to be that way. So you have to think on how best. If at all you have a man who has this mentality, of course, not all men like that. There are some men who detest it, who would not want a woman who has pulled. So it's different tastes and preferences. So I wouldn't encourage girls to be forced. But again, also, if a girl also decides to do it, then yeah.
Why do a lot of people, like, I appreciate like people teaching girls, I get it, but why don't you guys teach the men too in this kind of topics?
Yeah, so me personally, I'm a health educator. So the reason why I'm even here is because I do my part to educate the boys or the men to make sure they also involve, especially to understand these topics. For example, if you want men to encourage their women to have maybe family planning if at all they feel it's need to be, then you have to first teach them the importance of family planning. Because if you realize most times men, especially in rural areas, dictate what a woman should do or should not do. So yet a woman also has a right to use family planning or not to use it. So if a woman feels that she's giving birth, she's having a lot of kids, and she feels her body is wearing out, or she's at risk of fistula or losing her personal health, she has the right to talk to her husband or go for counseling or to even use family planning. Some men don't even allow them. But most times when we interact with communities, when we work with community health workers, we reach out to these families. We want to reach out to the men, give them information, so that if at all the women come up with a decision, they're able to be on the same page. People think family planning, contraceptions are is an issue for women. If you make a girl pregnant or a lady pregnant, it's not going to affect her alone. You're also affected as a man. Because if at all she gives birth, that means you're going to have a child, you have to take care of a child. Not like any other coward people always run away and leave the woman alone. Still, it will be affecting her. If women are affected, this is going to affect the economy, our economy, in the long run, because women contribute a lot to our economy. So what we're trying to do is to change the narrative, to break the silence and taboos on men involving in such health education or health talks.
And like speaking of family planning, I feel like I don't know about family planning everywhere else, but I feel like there's a misconception about family planning here in the US. People think you're basically like, I don't know, putting chemicals in your body or whatever. Like a lot of people who are like against family planning believe like those are like unnecessary like chemicals or hormones you're putting in your body. But at the same time, so is a condom. Like a condom is latex. You're still putting something in your body. Like you're still putting a foreign like object in your body. And at the same time, like very rarely do people complain about like family planning as it having an issue, like having an like a negative effect on them. Like the only complaint some of them may have is, oh, maybe like I gained weight or I ended up getting pregnant anyway. Not something like I got cancer from family planning or I have internal bleeding from family planning or something like that. And I feel like that's one reason like a lot of people opt out of using family planning as opposed which it's safer because a condom is not 100% either. A condom is 97% and family planning is 99%. So, and a lot of people don't know those numbers, and the misconception, especially for us who are raised in like African households, like we're raised in Africa, like your parents would tell you, I'm going to take care of be chemical. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, all the unhealthy foods we eat and all that are more dangerous than the family planning itself. And I feel like that's something that's not talked about as much as it should be because there's a misconception, and we usually like people are not like educated on that because Baba like family planning is usually seen as something like very negative, which it's not. So basically I'm like how do y'all like encourage women to, I don't know about Uganda, I don't know if the pills are there, but here to like take like get on family planning, take those pills. You're better off having family planning, a little weight gain than having an unplanned child.
Yeah, so what we always tell young people and everyone out there are very many misconceptions, the way you've said about family planning. But one thing we need to know, abstinence is one of the family planning, if at all you didn't know. We have what we call the natural methods and artificial methods of family planning. We have what we call hormonal and non-hormonal methods of family planning. For example, I don't know if I've all heard of, for example, natural family planning include like fertility awareness methods, where a woman is able to know her fertile days through checking their vaginal mucus, whether it's thick or thin. you're able to know when you are mostly fertile. And we have what we call the lactation amenorrhea method. This is breastfeeding, where a woman, if she's breastfeeding every after 4 hours every day, it can contribute to family. It's a form of family. It's a natural form of family planning. However, this is very tricky because most times women forget. Because that means even at night, I have to wake up and breastfeed. Then also we have what we call the artificial ones. All of us know, and these artificial, we have the barrier methods. The barrier methods I had last time, you're talking about the condom, the male condom, but most times we only leave out the different types of condoms here. We have both the male and female condoms. So we continue teaching people that the different types of condoms which they can use. We have what we call the diaphragms, which are not also very common, but they're also good. What we call the cervical cap, which is always put in the vagina and it blocks just under the cervix to block any sperm going in. Then we have what we call spermicides. These are most times in form of jelly, in form of cream, film, or a tablet that always a woman can put in her vagina before having sex. And these specifically kill the sperms and they're not hormonal. So, but also we have what we call the hormonal methods. That's why I talked about the implants. I remember last week you were discussing the implant, which can use up to 3 years. There are some which can use up to 5 years. And most places they always put under the arm. They're always under the skin on the women's upper arm. And this one contains progestin, a hormone, to prevent, ovulation, but also to prevent fertility taking place. We also have the injection. I remember we discussed about the injection, which is a short method. And it has, of course, the injection has the progestin. And most times it's also given to a woman for 3 months. And yeah, we also have pills. We have the combined oral contraceptives, the COCs. And these pills, what they do, most of you know them as the pill. These contain hormones, especially estrogen and progesterone. And most of them are prescribed by a midwife or a nurse. And yeah, these are also hormonals. They're used as you swallow them every day, one pill every day for a whole month to avoid. But also, in these same pills, we have the progestin-only pill. Some people are reactive to the hormone called estrogen. So there's a progestin-only pill, or sometimes we call them the mini pill. It only has one hormone, which is progestin, instead of having both hormones, the estrogen and progestin. The reason why this is done is because if at all you're breastfeeding and you're on pills and you take the combined oral contraceptive pill, the pill which has two hormones, it can end up affecting the production of milk for the women and for the baby. So we also have what we call a progestin-only pill. And also people who always react to different types of family planning, hormonal family planning, we always encourage you to speak to your physician, your gynecologist, or your midwife. Want to first determine what are your hormonal levels, what is your hormonal balance, okay, before you go to any family planning method. We have also we also have what we call the patch. It's just a small patch that you always put on the skin. It's always most times they put it at the lower abdomen, sometimes in the buttocks, sometimes here on the breast, anywhere, women, and it keeps on releasing these hormones, progestin and estrogen, into the bloodstream. And this one you can use it like for a week, 3 weeks, depending on how your hormonal level is. And typical use failure rate is at around 7%. So each family planning method has a different type of failure rate and effectiveness. Then you have also heard of the hormonal vaginal contraceptive ring. This is a small ring. It's made of medical silicone, and it's a ring that women always insert in their vagina. And when you place inside your vagina, you wear it like for 3 weeks. You can use up to 3 weeks. And it keeps on releasing hormones that keep on killing the sperms and preventing fertilization. So as we talk about like the different methods of family planning, we need people to know that there are different types of methods of family planning. one family planning method might work for one woman, which may not work for the other woman. So we encourage them to always when women go, or girls when go to the facility, health facility, there are some questions they always ask you as health experts. There are certain questions they always ask you to get the history. One, about how regular your periods are or your menstrual cycle is. Two, we want to know if at all you have any long-term or chronic disease. Okay. We want to know your sexuality, how active you are, how many partners you have. We want also to know your hormones, your hormonal levels. So these are the different issues that we always ask and find out. And if you go to the right ethical health worker, they will be able to help you out.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to ask, like, have you had like kids? Because there's like, I've heard of people that are addicted to sex. Like, how do you go about such people?
People who are addicted to sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, addictions do happen. Just like people are addicted to coffee, to drugs, and everything. But if someone is addicted to sex, that means they need, one is psycho support. They need to be counseled, and also two, they need to be health educated on the disadvantages or the risks they have in having sex, especially unprotected sex. So if at all you have someone who's addicted to sex, in your opinion, what do you mean by addicted to sex? Like how many times does a person have to have sex to be addicted to sex?
Like they always want to have sex.
Like they have high libido. Yeah, so these are the people that we one, you have to tell them what type of danger they're into in having a lot of sex. Two, what they're exposed to STDs. Three, how many partners they have. Okay, because if you're addicted to having sex and you have one partner, that will be okay. But also remember, it also inconveniences your personal life, your day-to-day life. Will you be at work and maybe you have first run out for a short break to have sex and come back? So we always encourage them to know the advantages and disadvantages and what risks are there in having a lot of sex, and about what partners they're having.
Oh, guys,
have you met someone who has been addicted to sex?
No, just so much like in movies.
I feel like, sometimes niggas ain't shit. So what would you say to your guy, as Bev asked, who's addicted to sex? Like, the guy has this girl and this girl and this girl, and the excuse is I'm addicted to sex. Why don't you tell him about family planning? Meaning, put your thing in your pants.
Okay, so the issue of family planning, the topic of family planning is very, very sensitive. This is one thing we need to agree on. And not only in the US, but everywhere, because of the culture and the different myths and misconceptions. If at all you feel you're not ready to talk about family planning, or you're not able to have family planning, find a way of bringing it up, okay? So sometimes when you have a guy and the guy wants to have sex, you're still at campus, you visit him or you visit at hostel, and he's always having sex. I always ask girls questions because throughout my life at campus and my work time, I've always been in touch with girls. I've always had condoms at my place, even way back at my hostel. Girls would know. Joseph would always have condoms, and they would come to my place, like from their hostels to my place, to pick condoms and keep on using them. I always ask them, before you have sex, one, are you having safe sex? Okay. Two, if at all you're having live or unprotected sex, are you ready for the repercussion? Most times, girls or young people fear pregnancy more than maybe STDs and HIV. Okay. So this keeps on changing the narrative about having sex. But before you have sex, I think you should discuss with your partner how best to have safe sex, or if you're ready to have kids, then go on and have sex, and
I would ask, is sex healthy?
Pardon?
Is sex healthy?
Yeah, sex is healthy. Sex is healthy, both for the brain and also for our emotional feelings. So we encourage safe sex. Safe sex is healthy. One, if at all you are stressed and you have this this interaction with with your partner, it kind of relaxes you. Two, having sex, you also it's also a form of exercise. You always end up burning calories, especially if you're having sex which is not coercive, not rape, not what. Okay, so as long as you are having safe sex, it is healthy for you and for everyone. And also, even your heart. You know, when you have sex, um, you get what I talked about, like a lot of calories are being burnt, and that means you reduce your risk to heart disease and all those.
Exercise.
Yeah, but safe sex is only healthy if it is practiced safely. I don't know, or with one partner.
But honestly, I feel like sex is not the answer to everything. If you're stressed out, I don't think you should take your anger out on your significant other because you're frustrated about something. I feel like it's like sex. I mean, in reality, I feel like sex is not the important thing. I don't think you need it. Like, you don't definitely crave it all the time, but there's a time where, okay, you need it, and then there's a time where, like, I don't need it because it's not that important. It's just you can live without it.
So, Sonia, how did you get here?
Okay, I'm just okay, I'm saying, okay, you can have sex, don't get me wrong, but there's some people who are addicted to sex and they can't live without it, and I'm just like, I don't see that, you know, like
I see what you mean.
Sex is like, you know, I don't know.
I mean, an addiction to sex is not right. I think what he meant is that there's many ways of relieving stress, but sex is one of them.
Yeah,
it's one in which you actually find pleasure. I mean, some people can release sex by going on a treadmill or eating or going for a run or talking to someone, your mom, your boyfriend, your friends, or having sex. But I feel what you say, like if you have a constant need to be having sex, like good 5-6 times a day, every day, then that's a problem right there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
one thing you should know about sex is that the sex begins from the mind, from your hypothalamus. So if you don't have peace of mind, you cannot have good sex. You cannot have healthy sex. So if someone is stressed or is angry or is they feel they're not ready to have sex, you cannot force them to have sex. It should begin, both partners, the male and female, should be prepared in the mood to have sex, because you have seen some men have had erectile dysfunction because maybe of stress and all other days. So it depends on how you communicate with your partner that you can have good sex. If you're all on the same page, then you have good sex.
So what do you think of sex after marriage?
Sex after?
Sex after marriage. Is that something you would do, or you would leave at? That's enough.
Sex before marriage or sex after marriage, Lona?
Sorry.
I was like, what?
But you did it.
Like, wait.
You guys got it, but like, is that something that you would do, or you would advise your kids to do it?
Sex after marriage or before marriage?
Before marriage,
Before marriage.
Sex after marriage.
Lona, you mean sex before marriage?
Like, is it before?
No,
after.
what do you think? No, after, yeah. Like, would you do sex, meaning you're abstinent? Then after you walk down the aisle, you have sex. That's what I meant, after marriage. Like, do you believe in that, sex after marriage?
Okay, so what I would say
sex before marriage. You're right. I just thought about it.
Oh, Lona.
Wow.
A long day.
But what's coffee?
Before.
Okay, so
she means before.
according to culture and I don't know, beliefs, okay, there are some beliefs that encourage people to have sex after marriage. And of course, when we talk about marriage, there are different types of marriages. So we have the common law, we have the cultural marriage, we have the church marriage, the mosque marriage, and all that. Yeah. Okay, so everyone has a perception about sex either before and after marriage. The reason why they would always discourage sex before marriage would be because they don't want people to have pregnancies out of like the wedding, and also they wanted to reduce on people having like multiple partners, and also to encourage people to abstain until like marriage. Okay, but the truth right now, when I interact with young people, people are having sex as early as possible. People are not waiting for marriage. In fact, I was talking to some peers, and they told me if at all, one of the guys told me if at all I get a girlfriend and I get to find out like she's a virgin on my wedding night, I would be worried that they would think either the person was abnormal or the like sexually inactive, or maybe they had like maybe like HIV. You know, they will get like scared. That was their perception as young people. So different young people have different but also the other thing, what I would say, sex before marriage should be between the two partners. If you do agree as a partner and know the repercussions from the sex before marriage, then you can go have it. But remember, not whoever you have sex with before marriage is when you marry.
I mean, divorces happen
Wait,
anyway. You could wait for marriage and still end up divorcing someone.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I feel like if you've been dating someone for, let's say you've been dating someone for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, at the end of the day, marriage is an event on one day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you can still divorce someone.
But also, it doesn't have to wait to have sex after marriage. It doesn't also hurt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know, but I feel like one reason people keep having like back alley like abortions or feel the need like they can go talk to their parents about something that they should be comfortable talking, for example, to their mom about or their older sister, is because society like ashames them for it. Like something, if you've been in a relationship for like 5, 7 years, and you started sleeping with someone, with the person, what's the difference between that and someone who married someone they've only dated for a year and then they ended up having sex? There's literally no difference but the wedding ring.
Yeah.
And there's some people who just don't believe in marriage. I mean, they can be with each other for 20 years, have kids, and they don't need a ring to show their love. They already know what they have. You know, people get married and then they realize we were together for 20 years and now we're getting married and then we end up divorcing. What was the whole point?
Yeah.
So I have a question.
I really don't understand.
Can I also ask a question? Because it has been one-way traffic.
I have one last question. I'll be quiet.
Okay, Lona. Feel free.
This is a good question. What do you think of threesomes?
Pardon? Your volume is so low.
What do you think of threesomes? Have you had those marriages where they're open marriages, but a guy can bring you can bring
relationships too?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, would you if your wife is like, I want to bring another guy?
I feel like that's the devil's work.
Hey.
So
and out.
Okay, so what I think about threesome, as I told you, as mature people, as married couples, or as when people decide to have to be married or to be a couple, you have a right to do what you want. However, if you don't want a threesome or you have like 3 people in a relationship, there are very many things that you need to really consider. One is having trust. How are you going to ensure that all the 3 are going to be trustworthy? Because the more partners you have, the more sexual partners you have, the more at risk you are in contracting STDs and all those infections. 2, you need to practice, you need to put lines on how you're going to have what we call safe sex with all the 3 as a couple, all the three people. Okay, so it wouldn't be bad as long as you draw a line on what type of sex you're going to have with all of them, and also expectations, meeting expectation for each person. You know, if I had a girlfriend, if I had a woman, I would know what her expectation is from me, and she would also know what expectation I have for her, especially having conjugation or having sex. So yeah, it's okay as long as you know you're playing, you're having everything right in a safe way, and not at risk of infecting each other. Then that's cool.
Also,
But I'm not promoting. I'm not promoting. How do we call it?
Open relationships and marriages.
People being on sexual
Polygamous
networks.
marriages.
Yeah, it's.
I feel like that's sort of contracting a bunch of demons at the same time. You know how they say like you carry on demons from people you sleep with? That's why a lot of people who sleep around like end up like losing their minds in the future. They end up doing weird things. Like they just end up like going like, you know, they have breakdowns and go crazy. Like, you know, you have weird
So
just too many demons in you, too many penises entering you. Those are all spiritual demons you're exchanging with people.
Did you say demons?
Yes, like
Like I
spiritual, like
said,
spirituality, like those are all like different
like
energies
I
you're
said,
exchanging with
when
people.
Lorna said the threesome, I said that's the devil's work.
Yeah, because if you ever think about it, like if you're sleeping with someone, it's not just physical, you are actually sharing chemistry with this person. Like that's why, like I said, I don't know if like I feel like that you're exchanging like I don't know, spiritually, like you're exchanging more than just a penis and a vagina. Like you are connecting with this person on a level of which the more you add, those are more souls you're connecting with than needed. And that's why like people who sleep around usually end up like, I don't know, they usually at some point in their lives have a mini breakdown. Because
Literally.
you've carried on too many like souls and spirits and connections in you that at some point they all collide. For those who believe in spirituality. Those who don't, ignore it.
Like as a person.
Akagambo bakaita soul ties.
Ko Debbie webale kusoma luzungu ako kembadde nno.
Agamba so okay.
Ako kulona
I have a question. When as we're talking about sex, what do you think? What's your take on masturbation? Is it a healthy thing to do? Is it? I've read in some places where it's like it's healthy. It's a healthy thing to do, and then some people say it's not healthy. What's like the health take on it?
So masturbation is someone trying to pleasure themselves, either using their hands or using dildos and sexual objects. It is addictive. Let me begin with the disadvantage. It's addictive. Masturbation in men leads to weak erection or erectile dysfunction with time. If a person masturbates a lot, and also it also brings about risks, especially in women, also men. And if they begin sharing sex toys, they can end up, transacting like STDs, sexual transmitted infections, and also But on the positive side of it, masturbation is one is safe in terms of you will not be able to get STDs if at all you do it personally alone, and also you keep like good hygiene. Two, some people it works for some people because they feel they don't have to go through the hassle of having partners and all that. So some people I've met women who say they don't ever see a man in life, or people who have also been maybe raped before and they have that trauma. Some of them don't want to be in touch with any man, so they decide to do masturbation. And some people prefer to do that because they reach their orgasm and they feel the same pleasure that they have with a man. So personally, I believe if at all someone decides to go down that way, they need to know the do's and don'ts of masturbation. But when you go to the biblical perspective, it's against the religion as a sin. But also remember that we have different people with different religious backgrounds. And also, people have rights to do, what they feel is okay for them at that time.
Okay.
Question.
I feel like, yeah, you had a question to ask us. That's what I was coming to.
What the question?
You
Sanya
had a
has been
question
quiet.
for
Sanya, is
us.
he with us?
Yeah. I
you-
had a question, but Lorna wanted to go first, so you can go.
No, he had a question. He wanted to ask something.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So, pardon?
No, go ahead.
So, at what age did you guys? I know all of you have had different experiences. At what age did you learn about like sex, penetrative
I
sex?
thought the question was going somewhere else.
Ow, you
The other question
I
I
thought
have.
it was going.
The other question I have. How free are you to discuss your sexuality with your parents or your sisters? And
That's a good one. That last one is a good one.
Yeah, that one.
Nelly?
How free are you? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, Priscilla?
Me?
Can you openly talk about like your sexuality with your
Absolutely
parents?
not.
Pardon?
Absolutely not.
None? Beverly?
With what?
How free are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And how open are you to talk about your sexuality with your parents or guardian or
Negative 0.000. What?
Can you?
0.
0? And Lona?
Not even close.
For me, one of my parents it's 0, and then one of them is 100%. Like basic. Oh, my mom, like she's so open with us, and I love it because she doesn't want us to do like any mistake, So for her, she just talks about it. Whereas my dad, he's just more reserved, and you know how fathers are with their daughters. They don't want to think that, so they just like just don't say anything.
They think about it and then they're like they forget about it type thing. Yeah. So
do you think parents should be open to their children to talk about such issues?
Definitely.
Yes, but
I think I will be with my kids.
Pardon?
Go ahead, Samuel.
I would say yes. I would agree. Parents should be more, invested in their kids. But I feel like with the opposite sex. So anything that has to do with sex, you would talk to your mom about, and the guys will talk to their dads about, because they kind of know, they have the same body stuff that you have. So
what do you mean by stuff?
Like
boobs, vagina, functionality,
everything. Much like everything. Like your dad has, a boy should talk to them and stuff. Not like that, but
okay. So another question.
If you are really open to your parents and you don't care, you talk to both parents as you please, I give you props. But there's some people who are just still insecure about saying things, so they kind of just rather go to someone who knows, which is probably a mom or their dad type thing.
Yeah, it's what I always encourage parents. We encourage that relationship between you, a child, and the parent. If at all you have an open discussion, open relationship, a positive one, it's always good, to hold that sexuality education at home. But of course, these days things have changed. Parents are always away; they're working. Kids grow up with house helps, or they're in school, So it also becomes a challenge. And the other question is, how free are you to talk about your menstrual hygiene, menstruation with your parent? Can you ever tell like your dad, I need money like for pads, or do you ever tell like your mom, do you ever open up?
That's an easy one.
Definitely, honestly.
I can ask my dad, my brother, anyone. I can ask, well, not anyone, but my dad, my brother, my mom, my sisters, that I can ask them for money, or I can even send them to the store to grab me something if they're already at the store.
You can ask anyone.
And honestly, you
Honestly.
shouldn't even be afraid to tell them to go buy that stuff, because at the end of the day, they know, because
Yeah,
you know, their girlfriend or their wife, I mean, they have all gone through it. So of course they, you know, they know it. So you shouldn't.
Yeah. Sometimes girls fear to ask their fathers directly that I need money like for pads or for this, or I'm having heavy flow. And one of the things that I've been doing is every time I'm doing menstrual hygiene management training in schools and in communities, so we teach both the girls and the boys. Though at a specific time we have to separate the two, but the reason why we teach the boys so they can become examples. They are able to understand how to manage menstruation, because this can happen to their sisters, it can happen to their girlfriends when they grow up. Okay, and it can happen anywhere whereby it will be you there alone with that girl, or the woman. So we encourage them also, like, in the future, if at all your daughter or a girl came to you and asked you for money, maybe for buying like menstruation products, you're not able to, like, back at her or refuse to give her money, or even to ask money for something in return. So we want to have this to open up, to break the silence and stigma on menstruation, as well as sexuality education. And maybe I wanted to ask you girls, would you freely talk to your brother about sexuality education?
absolutely not.
Your sibling,
Mm-mm.
if you had a 14 or 13-year-old brother, would you like?
Oh,
Like
if you were younger,
somebody
I would
younger than
be,
me, yeah.
yeah, if you were younger, I would be more than open for him to come and tell me whatever he wants. But my situation, I have an older brother, and it's an absolute no.
Oh yeah, honest, canceled, canceled.
I
Why? Why?
cannot, but me, I cannot. But if I
Because
had like a little sibling, if
Yeah.
when I get kids, I'm definitely going to have those conversations with them because
Yep.
I feel like they really need them. And
Yeah.
we grow
And
up in a time where we we've pretty much come up in like our parents' kind of generation in a way that they're held back to talk about such things. But I want to really talk to my kids about those things because finding them on the internet is not fun.
yeah, I agree with her. And even if they don't want to talk about it, I want to make it known that they should feel free if whenever they feel like it. Like if I'm talking to them about it and they feel awkward about it, I want them to I want to make it obvious that they should be like free to tell me these things. Like I don't have to bring it to them and be like, I sit down, sex talk. But I want to if I'm not telling it to them direct, I don't know, somehow in my behavior, somehow I want to make it known to them that they can talk to me about anything, both the girls and the boys. Because I
Okay.
feel like that's one part, like our parents is like, at least speaking for some or a lot of Ugandans and Africans, that's why like our parents did not not went wrong, but like
They
that's
did
the
go
problem.
wrong.
We don't feel comfortable. They did not go wrong, but we don't feel comfortable going to them with those things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, maybe we are told like, oh, not we're told, but you just feel like you're not comfortable enough to tell them that because it's not something that they've been open about. Like for you to just go, oh, by the way, mama made a boy, so how do I go about this? Putting on the condom or something.
Yeah, but I think also
So
it's like the culture. Like also if you ever speak to your parents, they tell you how they were raised and their
That's
parents
what
told
I
them
was
also,
saying.
you know? Like probably even like you know how like back then you can't, even though you bring something of sex, no, you can't do that.
mhm.
But back to your question, to me and my brother are very free. We can, I mean, you don't talk of what's going on, but it's like it's like little jokes and everything. I feel like it's cool, you know? Um, I think, but if it's like a female thing, like a deep female, like a singer thing,
What
no.
do you mean by deep thing?
Like like that deep deep.
Like what?
Lona, how deep? So, how deep does it go, Lona?
Next question.
But honestly, I am able to talk to my brother who's about the same age as me because we're kind of going through the same experience. But my older brother that's a little bit older, I kind of look at him like another dad So I won't tell him anything. I'll just be like, yeah, I'm great. You know, I have no problems, you know, in my mind. And I'll probably go to my sister and be like, okay, can you kind of like explain what this is or what that is? Because she has gone through it as what I'm going through right now. So yeah, it's just who you're comfortable with. It's about
easier to talk about it with sisters than brothers, in my opinion.
Because you're more like, you're basically, I look at it this way. You talk to a girl, she kind of understands because you get pregnant. You talk to a brother doesn't understand. All he does is just get people pregnant. So it's like, you're trying to teach.
Sonia, you're going to put your brother out like that?
No, I'm just saying, just think about it this way. We all have brothers.
I'm not speaking for my brother. That does not pertain to my brother.
Okay, this doesn't pertain to
you're getting anybody
of our brothers.
Sleeping around.
Okay, this doesn't pertain to either of our brothers, but I'm just saying brothers in general. You know, as us, as siblings, we are people who are carrying these kids for 9 months, but our brothers are the one who's just throwing it around and not knowing when to stop and getting people pregnant is my point. So it's better for us to also, if we have that brother that is about the same age as us, we'd be like, yo, just slow your roll, okay? Pay attention, be safe, but also have fun, but just don't do too much.
The other question I had for you ladies, what is your perception on using contraceptives or using family planning?
I support it.
I support it.
What is your perception on using family planning or contraception?
I do support it because at the end of the day, we can control ourselves. We can control the things we do, and it's better to try and control it than to fall into a ditch and you can't even get yourself out. And then you start blaming the world and everything and everyone around you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I second that. Like I said earlier, like a little weight gain or whatever side effects come with the contraceptive are better than an unplanned child. Because I'm definitely for it. And besides, but like for example, the pill, like contraceptives, specifically the pill, is not good for just like, you know, avoiding a pregnancy. It has other, like, you know, beneficial other positives, like, you know what I mean? And I'm for it. And I think every girl, if you know you're having sex and you're not ready to raise a child, I think every girl should be using it. And not just the condoms, because like I say, the condoms are 97%. There's always that 3% chance that you're going to get pregnant. Yeah. Like I would advise every girl, if you're having sex and you know you're not ready to raise a child, get on birth control or any other contraceptive that you want, not just birth control, anything you can use.
For me personally, no. To me, that's my own opinion. I feel like first of all, like, you do your research. Like if my friend is taking a contraceptive, it doesn't mean the same way it's doing her is the same way it's gonna do me. We all have different body types, you know. She can have a contraceptive and she'll have great, you know, like great stuff and everything. To me, in the future, I might have problems, you know. So I feel like, I'm not saying like it's wrong to use it, bro. If you want to use it, that's it. But to me, my own opinion, I wouldn't use it. And also the other thing is the whole like morning after pill. That too, I wouldn't advise people to use it. If you do a mistake and, you know, like things happen, as Beverly said, I do feel like just use it once, but don't overuse it, because at the end of the day, if you guys go red, like wombs get out, uterus get out, and you end up like not having kids, you know? So yeah.
Can you control how many times a mistake is gonna happen? That's especially when we're young and, like, you know, if we're being realistic, people have fun. You could come from a night out. None of y'all know exactly what you're doing. I mean, you know what you're doing, but you're not in the like right capacity, like mental capacity to say, you know what, or let me pull out, or let's not have sex because, you know, I didn't take my pill, or I'm not trying to take Plan B in the morning. And what if you have like?
What I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is you can use it once, but like don't overuse it. Like every time you're using it, because regardless, if you really do your research, pills get used to your body. So the same way you used it the first time is not the same way it's gonna react the second, third, fourth, or fifth time that you use it.
Which
Yes,
is why they
those ones.
advise birth control and not Plan B.
Yeah.
Sorry, babe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah, that's
Which
why
is
they
why
advise
they-
birth control and not Plan B, because birth control is less harsh than Plan B. Plan B is meant to work immediately. Birth control is meant to work over a long period of time, so it's not as harsh as
But
a Plan B would be.
Haven't you guys ever had females that say that they've been on birth controls, they've tried out 2 birth controls, and it was so bad for them that they can't do it?
That's the thing. That's like the 1%.
it's your body too.
Yeah.
It's your body, and then
that's what I'm saying. That's
and
what
some
I'm
of
saying.
these ladies, listen, some of these chicks, girls, they go out for the things that they hear from other people, and they actually don't go out and
Instead of talking
research.
to your PCP about what works for specifically your body type, your hormones, and your genes.
Even the PCP, when they go there, they'll be like, "Oh, my friend had this. I want to have that." Some of them will tell you do this or that, and they'll also ask you, "What do you think is good? What do you think you want?" But some people run for the other options, and they also don't do research. It's not my fault that you don't do research about things. Do some research.
Yeah,
if you think it's not gonna work for you, don't use it, because all of us are different. But at the same time,
what I'm saying, right, is that, guys, they asked us our own opinion. That's my opinion. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's something that when a friend comes to me, I'll be like, hey, to me, my own opinion, I wouldn't use it. Period.
Okay.
But you have your own choice to use it.
Lona and the team, we do in this discussion, there's no judgment, and we respect each person's opinion and perception. And of course, people have their own way, and it's not compulsory that all of us have to use a family planning or a contraception. But I don't know what Sanyu didn't share your perception about family planning.
No,
pardon? Don't be shy. Come on.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. So, before you talked about one of the challenges for family plannings. One of the reasons which is preventing people from using family planning, because of the side effects. Okay. One thing I need to bring clear to everyone is about the side effects of family planning. Yes, side effects do exist, just like any other medication. Like if you take paracetamol, a painkiller, or you take any type of medicine, sometimes you have side effects. And these side effects affect people differently, okay? I remember initially when I told you, when I said if someone wants to use family planning, or a lady or a guy, or a couple have agreed to use a family planning, when you go to a health facility to a trained midwife or service provider, they do that assessment before you get on any family planning. One of the rights that people don't know that you have as women, as a couple, is that these service providers health educate you about all the types of family planning. You have the right to know all the different types of family planning, how effective they are, to what percentage, how to use each, and then what are the disadvantages or what we call side effects on each family planning. Then you as a lady, also with your husband, you can decide which family planning to take on. When you decide which one, your gynecologist or midwife is supposed to re-educate you about that family planning, to give you more information about that family planning method. So by the time you leave, you have the right information. That's what we call quality control. In Uganda, we have what we call PSI International Uganda, or Population Service International. They have what we call pro-farm clinics. We have providers like from Maristops, okay, and other service providers. These are people we know that are giving the right information and give clients audacity or choice to choose which family planning method to use. And if at all this is followed everywhere, people are able to avoid these side effects. Also, sometimes people go to a health center, and the facility people, they know if I'm using an IUD, an intrauterine device, I will sell it for maybe 20,000. Okay, and if I tell a client I give them an injection to be 3,000, just because they want to make more money, they will force you to go and use, a more expensive family planning method for their own interest of getting money. which may have not been the best for you as a person and end up having all these side effects. However, if at all someone has side effects, they need to go back and discuss with their service providers to see how they can manage the side effects or have a change in the family planning method they're using.
Okay. I was getting ready to finish. Priscilla, do you have anything? Because we've gone over time.
Yeah. No, I was just saying I have to go. So I have to leave early because I have to go.
Yeah, we're getting done. Anyways, thank you so much, Joseph. I'm not even going to read the comments today because we've gone way over time. But I think this was a very educative session, and it was a really good one. Thank you so much. Thank you for spreading your knowledge, and thank you for all that you do. And yeah, we've come to the end of the show, and thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget, this is a very indicative one. Share it everywhere. And if you can leave us like your details, Joseph, in maybe the comment section, we'll be glad. Maybe we'll have some people that reach out to you. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you have a nice rest of the week, guys. And I hope you stay safe, social distance, wash your hands and sanitize. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Don't get carried away by all of what's happening, and stay safe. And if you want somebody to talk to, reach out to somebody. Don't stay alone because your mental health matters too. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. We shall meet again next week, and have a nice, blessed week.
You
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right.
Nsanyuse nnyo okuba mwenna abalaba gye musinza okubanga mulaba. Thank you so much for this opportunity okubuuza ku bantu mwenna gye musinza okubanga mulaba.